press it now.
Okie dokie.
Should be like that. Yeah, I think we're live now.
Think.
Yeah. So welcome back to the channel, Movies That Matter, and I have Lewis back. You're not dead,
Yay!
Lewis. You're not dead. You're alive. What
I
happened with you, man?
know, I know. I got busy out the wazoo for the last few months. I haven't even seen any of Loki, which
Oh,
is heartbreaking because I've been so busy, and that was the show that I was most looking forward to. I have not been in the loop with like any DC news for the last couple of months. It took me several days to hear about all these Henry Cavill rumors on the Flash. I didn't see the set leaks. I saw somebody mention it on Twitter because I just came back. I was like, well, let's have a look at this. And then all of a sudden I'm like, how have I missed all of this? And I missed a load of the set pics from the Flash as well with Batfleck. I was days late to that. So yeah, I've been absurdly busy. But hopefully now with Suicide Squad coming out, it was like, okay, now that's something that we can talk about. And then hopefully eventually I'll get some time to catch up with everything else that I've missed. But yes, I've been away for a very long time. But now I'm back. And you're muted, Sean. Oh, look at this unprofessionalism that I have to return
every
to.
time. See, I have to check the stream and make sure everything's perfect because it never goes right for us when we're doing streams
No,
anyway.
never.
So there's always something. But Lewis, I have something. Are you able to turn the volume up a little bit on your speaker, maybe, and mine, or a little bit lower, things like that.
Who's loud and who's quiet?
You're a little bit quiet.
Okay.
I think I'm loud. But we have a guest, and it's a person who has seen the film, I think, 8 times already in theaters. It is Jessica. Jessica, how are you doing?
I'm brilliant, thanks. Yeah, I don't normally watch films that much, but it's so I only watch films that I can rewatch, and The Suicide Squad is so rewatchable. And so yeah, I watched Birds of Prey 9 times in the cinemas, so I'm kind of I want to do the same with. But I mean, today it was good. I watched it in 4DX, so it was a good excuse to watch it again because it's kind of different. But yeah, it's so much fun. So yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah, and just for people out there that don't know what that is, can you explain what that theatrical experience is?
It's like the 4DX experience, basically when your seat rocks and there's water sprayed and there's flashes and there's smoke, and it's a whole kind of, it basically turns the film into kind of a ride. And it some films are better in it than others. Some films are just it's kind of a distraction, and some films it kind of adds to it, and so it's kind of, the Suicide Squad was really good because of all the rain and all of that, so it was good fun. It's a good excuse to go see it again as well. So.
Yeah. And Lewis, have you experienced that, or is that near you, a theater like that?
Yeah, so the cinema that I went to go see it at does offer that. The Cineworld, they do have a 4DX.
Yeah, Cineworld near me, yeah.
But it's never really wowed me. IMAX is the fanciest I'll go for a cinema, because prior to living where I live now, the cinema that I went to is super cheap, and it was all the films had this super grain to all of them because of just the projector, I'm guessing, whatever. But I really liked it. It was watching films in slightly shittier quality with a bit of a grain. I was like, wow, I actually quite like this. It's really weird. And then when I'm at Cineworld, it's super fancy and high tech, I'm 4DX. If my chair's being thrown all over the place and I'm having stuff thrown at me, I don't know. I think it might just take me out of the film a little bit. But I don't know. I've never experienced it, so I can't really say. It's never made me go, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be careful what movie you go see, because if you go see a movie that doesn't have that much action, oh, this is a good time, rainbows and flowers and stuff like that. But then if you go see something like a World War II movies, the guys coming with guns and all that, you're
I can tell you that the one that literally almost broke my back, because they the seat pushes out, so when someone gets hit or something, it there's a lever thing on the back of the seat, and so it hits you in your back. And so the worst one was Rise of Skywalker, which was literally, I needed, I was in pain after.
I can imagine a film like Aquaman would have been pretty bad for that, because I think Aquaman was
Yeah.
like before 4DX came in, but like
Yeah.
every scene in Aquaman was like a fucking jump scare to end each scene.
Oh yeah.
It's just like someone breaking your back for 2 hours. It'd be horrible.
Yeah, it does.
Leave injured. But
Do they make you like
people-
sign a waiver or anything to say like if you get injured you can't sue us?
Well, you have to when you watch it. Well, it didn't actually this time. It didn't come up on the screen, I don't think. But usually there's like requirements you have to meet, and then obviously, yeah. So it has to be specific, and there's no hot drinks allowed in. Very specific, but yeah.
No, bring your baby. You can't bring your child either.
No, definitely not.
No, but in case anyone maybe couldn't guess by the title, Suicide Squad spoiler review, so there will be spoilers. So we don't want to be spoiled. I think Edits is here, but he had to leave because he hasn't seen the movie yet, which is fair enough. So he'll definitely come back and watch this. And look, I'm wearing my Batman t-shirt, jersey. I'm wearing my Flash hat. I want to go through some of these rogue gallery guys from the Suicide Squad movie. We'll just go give our thoughts about the movie, talk about some characters we like, some scenes. We won't give a full shot-by-shot breakdown. That's for the guys over at New Rockstar or New Rocksteady, whatever you call them, to do that. Because we'll be here all night and we'll definitely forget things because it's just me and Lewis because we mess up. It's what we do.
Yeah, it's baked into the show at this point. It's like it's not us if it goes well the whole time. Yeah, it's our trademark. It's our trademark. But I think we have one comment already. Regno Patiri. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. He goes, the movie was trash and jokes were horrible. I wanted to like it. I kept checking my clock. That's fair enough. Look, what the good thing is about this channel here and us guys is that we value all opinions and we don't. We won't trash you. We won't get annoyed. We won't say, F you. We won't do that. It's not Twitter. So
I've been liking because recently lots of people, and I chimed in, put their DCEU ranking, and I don't like to usually do that because it changes every day, but I thought I may as well. And I like to like everyone's because, I like that people have different opinions, and that's, I don't get all angry like, oh my God, your opinion's not the same as mine. I hate you. It's like, cool, you have and the great thing about the DCU is that every list is different, everyone's opinion is different, and I think that's great. So if you think it's trash, good for you.
I think like with people's like, if you were to rank the MCU, for example, I think everyone would go through the same process of like, and this might just be because there's like 20 odd films, but they would pick like the 3 that they really love and then spend like 3 hours trying to separate the other like 19 and be like, I have no idea. Whereas with DC, as you say, it's like every other day. Like I saw one the other day with like Wonder Woman 84 in like second, and I'm like, you are probably gonna get slaughtered for that take, but like, that's cool. That's your opinion.
I really liked Wonder Woman 84, but I liked it at the cinema, and then when I I think it was just after Zack Snyder Justice League came out, I thought I'll watch Wonder Woman 84 again, and I didn't like it as much because I noticed the things that were wrong with it, but I think that's mainly because of the edit. I'm pretty sure. I think Patty Jenkins, when she was interviewed, she said she wanted it to be longer. And I think there were some things edited out, like they go to the White House and she's like in normal clothes, and then suddenly she's in the Wonder Woman costume. It's like, what?
There's never been a single problem with movies being edited in DCEU. That's never happened. So they're allowed the ones. Never happened.
Yeah, but the thing, I haven't watched Wonder Woman 84 since I seen it in theaters. I definitely have to go back and rewatch it, but I really enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a really good experience in theaters. I got to see it twice. But yeah, look, like even with the DCU ranking, like for someone who, like I consider myself someone who likes nearly all movies, I can find some enjoyment in them all. So like in my...
The thing that I love about Wonder Woman 84 is that it's Diana and Steve's love story, and that's like part of the film, and the scene in the fireworks and everything, that's just like makes the movie. I don't care about any of it. That scene alone is just like, I love it. So
like on my ranking, I don't know, I haven't really made one yet, but I'd say maybe Shazam would be near the bottom. But that's not because I don't like Shazam. I really like Shazam. It's just hard to pick which comes 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Like it's just really, really hard. So of course, Zack Snyder's one, they're in the top 3.
The Snyderverse ones are like,
they're the peak. They're the peak.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, well,
I mean, they're the consistent like
Yeah.
universe, you know, because they're the ones that like Zach, Debbie, and Charles Roven were the producers of those, and you can tell that it has consistent producers that are like,
yeah,
you know, it was interweaving, like was David Ayer's Suicide Squad when we get it, you know, you know, and then obviously Zach leaving, it just started. You can see that, you know, there's no connectivity. It's kind of, but you know, they're still producing really good movies. Like I love the Suicide Squad, so you know, but hashtag restore the Snyderverse.
Yeah, we can be both. What? We can support the Suicide Squad and also the Ayer cut and want the Snyderverse.
Wow,
What? That can't happen.
Crazy, mind-blowing. Yeah.
That's crazy. How do you live with yourself? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying we're all the same here. But Andy Orr in the comments goes, I wanted to like the movie too. I thought it was going to be a different movie than it was. I guess I had super high expectations and didn't live up to it. That's fair enough. The trailers for me didn't do anything for me. The marketing campaign, I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so excited for this movie. I was just like, okay, I guess I'll go see it because it's a DC movie and it has John Cena and some of the actors that I really like. And the movie blew me away. It was better than the trailers. I think the marketing, we'll talk about the marketing for DC movies at the minute are kind of pretty bad.
Yeah, so I mean, the trailers were just, yeah, they weren't good. I mean, I liked the Rebellion trailer. That was my favorite. But apart from that, I mean, and after watching the film, I liked the Last Rain trailer. But the first trailer, the R-rated trailer, and that's supposed to be the people's first impression of like the film and advertising, and it kind of falling flat is not a good thing. And I think especially now that it's seeing that it's kind of falling flat in the box office, it's kind of underperformed. So I think people will have watched that first trailer and been like, I'm not sure. And I think that's...
Well, our actual first, and Lewis, I want to get your opinion on this. The first look at the Suicide Squad was from DC Fandom. It wasn't even a trailer. It was like a featurette behind the scenes. Oh, James Gunn, he's going to be the new mastermind behind the DCEU. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. And it wasn't a trailer. It was just like a featurette. But then a few panels later, you get the Snyder Cut trailer with the Hallelujah. You get hyped for that. You get the Batman trailer, which people are still posting and talking about to this day. And I think if the Batman came out in the last 8 months, or the next 4 months, it would do very well at the box office because of that first look, that first trailer. Lewis, what do you think of that? Is that a bad marketing ploy there straight away that they put out a trailer at DC Fandom?
Yeah, it's a bit strange, especially when you contrast it with the Batman, which, as we know, had only shot like a quarter of itself. Like only a quarter of the film had been done, and they put out an incredible trailer. Like it told you everything you needed to know about the film. They could release no more trailers, and people would know exactly what it is that film was about. I mean, there's stuff like Robert Pattinson has the pull. It's probably he was one of the biggest reasons. Well, Batman in and of himself has pull. But anyway, with the Suicide Squad, that just seemed quite strange. It made sense to maybe do a featurette and then do a trailer at the end of it to say like, okay, it's James Gunn doing the generic. Oh, this film was an amazing thing. This film was such a challenge. Working with such amazing actors and actresses, and then you go, and then here's the trailer. So I mean, DC marketing has been very, very strange. Yeah. It's so counterintuitive as well because it's like, you maybe spend like an extra 50 mil. I mean, that's a lot of money and probably not an accurate estimate, but the rewards that you can reap are huge. Yeah. But we do also have to consider the fact that this is another day and date release. So this was HBO Max as well. So it's entirely possible that it's done very well on HBO Max. Streaming wise, we don't know that yet.
And the pandemic.
And there is still a pandemic going on,
But will they release the numbers? That's what we want to.
I wouldn't be surprised if they would. I really would. If they're good,
and then everyone will be pissed off that they didn't. Everyone will be saying, now we want the Snyder Cut numbers. So it's like they can't. I mean, really.
I think they're very clear that aside from releasing the Snyder Cut to make a lot of money, aside from that, they really do not give a shit about what the people want. So I think even if we did get the numbers for Suicide Squad, it'd be shouting at a wall.
I think they're on like a PR kind of rebuilding as well with maybe diehard like hardcore Twitter fans as well, because like a lot of the Ayer Cut stuff was talked about very nicely at the premiere. Stuff like John Cena and Margot Robbie. also like Charles Roven talking. I think it was Charles Roven talking about Zack Snyder possibly coming back in the future, Justice League movies. I think for them to put out the Suicide Squad numbers, having not put out the Zack Snyder Justice League numbers, like that would cause uproar online. That would just be
Yeah.
chaotic, and maybe even hurt the word of mouth and the online buzz for Suicide Squad even more, because there's a lot of people out there who just want to kind of, who really don't want this film to do well and want Zack Snyder to come back, which we do as well. But if these movies don't do well, they're going to start over completely and just, they're not going to look back. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, they've already kind of made a mistake with Walter Hamada coming out and saying, "Oh, we're so happy to invite James Gunn back. We'll give him anything. He's welcome here." It's like, and Zach's just at Netflix, like, fuck you, like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we have Fatma here as well. She goes, "If you loved it, I'm happy for you, and if you didn't, then move on and focus on what you do love." I love that. I love that, because Kevin Lewis has talked about this loads of times. Lewis loves Captain Marvel. I don't. I don't like Captain Marvel, but I don't talk about it every day of my life. I move on. I didn't like it. I'll watch the next comic book movie. It's
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I liked Captain Marvel, but it had problems. Yeah.
All I did was one day I said it was better than I thought it was going to be. There was uproar, people knocking on my front door, like, "What is your problem?"
What? You know Brie Larson's in that movie, right? But Andy Argo's, there was some stuff that I liked from the movie. That's good. Even though he didn't like the movie overall, he liked some stuff. KC, really liked Suicide Squad. Totally a James Gunn film, which I really appreciate it. Definitely. So let's kind of jump into kind of our thoughts about the movie. So I got to see it 10 days ago, opening night, when it first came out here in Ireland and the UK. I had a great time with it. It exceeded my expectations. Trailers, as I said, didn't do anything for me, but I loved the movie. Had a really great time, and loved some of the characters. Thought there was a lot of heart in the movie. It was a very deep movie as well. With King Shark, Ratcatcher, even John Cena, the Peacemaker, what a joke! That kind of whole sequence I thought was absolutely brilliantly done. One of the best scenes in the whole movie. I like the characters. I really did. I think James Gunn did an amazing job. Some of his camera tricks and directing kind of tricks were just brilliantly done. Like the title cards coming up, or like just panning over in the same scene, zooming in and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Or the fight scene through the helmet with Peacemaker and Rick Flag, like those stuff like that. I really appreciate it. And I had such a good time. I can't remember the last time I had such a good time in theaters watching a movie from start to finish. Some jokes I laughed at, some jokes didn't really land that much. There's a scene with Harley Quinn I didn't like, but overall I thought it was a really good film. And I was hyped going into the third act with Starro, with the team, and Idris Elba, Bloodsport. They turn around, do the right thing and fight Starro, and defeat Starro. So I had a really good time, and I watched it again with my brother. I enjoyed it even more watching it with somebody else. I thought it's more fun when you watch it with people, because you can laugh together, or you can nudge them and say, "Oh, that was pretty funny," and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. So, and actually 5 years ago, me and my brother went to go see the first Suicide Squad movie, and we had a great time with that one as well, because of the music, Joker, Batman, Will Smith, Harley Quinn. I think these Suicide Squad movies, both of them, have been a really enjoyable theatrical experience for me anyway. And I was glad to see James Gunn be given the freedom that we want Zack Snyder and David Ayer to be given with their projects. But it's good that he wasn't compromised either. So, but Lewis, did you like the Suicide Squad movie, and when did you get to see it?
Yes, and just a few days ago, I think. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I loved it, but I didn't dislike it in any way. I thought it was very entertaining. I thought, as you say, it's just like the little, again, I know jack shit about cinematography, but like the little camera movements, like when they're dancing in the club, and all of a sudden it's like the camera's just swerves around, and there were loads of moments like that throughout the film, which I just like. Yeah. I really like it when someone just does something a little bit extra rather than keeping the camera where it is. I thought the soundtrack was really good. I thought the performances were all really good. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was like a solid 7 out of 10 for me. Maybe 7.5 at a push. But yeah, I just came out of it, thought that was pretty good. Maybe I might go see it again, because I think I might enjoy it a bit more second time around. But I'll see. That's me.
And but I think Jessica's a pro because she's seen the film 8 times now.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
rookie numbers. We need to pump those up.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way it's filmed is like the James Gunn used like brand new IMAX red cameras, and so it's always fluid, and so the whole time the film feels kind of, obviously because it's all one kind of journey, even though it flashes back quite a bit. But the video that they released about the way they filmed it, and like they've never been able to film a film like this before with this like new technology. It's really cool. And it's obviously Zach filmed Army of the Dead with the red cameras, so it's like, and obviously Army of the Dead was quite Suicide Squad, so it's kind of cool to see that connection. But yeah, I love the film. I obviously have nitpicks, but I mean, I can see why you might not like the Harley Quinn scene, because it can be seen as quite problematic. But I think Harley Quinn's quite problematic character, and so I'm fine with that. I mean, I've seen the people on Twitter saying, oh, they didn't quite like that, but I loved that scene. I mean, the very end of the scene, linking back to Joker and her like toxic relationship and the red flags, and I just think, especially if when we get the haircuts, I think that's going to be just like it'll just tie itself up, because I think David and James had like deep conversations about David's cut, and so I think James kind of wrote that. I'm pretty sure like he had it in mind, because we never really saw the toxic relationship, because Jeff Johns rewrote it so that they were like Bonnie and Clyde of the DC universe, which is so stupid. But yeah, I love the third act. For me is the best. The third act is just like a ride from start to finish, and the way the helmet scene is like shot. Yeah, I just it's so fun, and yeah, I loved it. So yeah.
The opening sequence it kind of reminded me of Logan, because we've always seen Logan like Wolverine as PG-13, and then at the opening, Logan, he kind of takes apart those guys, it
definitely
really just chops them apart and stuff like that, which is, it shows you that, oh, this is an R-rated Wolverine movie. And this one here, the opening sequence really showed us that this is an R-rated Suicide Squad movie. It's not going to hold out. It's
definitely R-rated,
yeah, and a lot of the squad members die. Savant dies, GDK, we get Blackguard dies, we get Javelin dies, and then Captain Boomerang, which I was sad to see him die, and I actually liked this smirk at the end before he died. It's like he was accepting, like it's oh, this is funny, I'm going to die right now. Like he was just accepting it, which is But Lewis, did the opening sequence, did it throw you off, or did you like all the blood and gore, and were you sad to see Captain Boomerang die? But which character from that kind of first Suicide Squad team that we get to meet would you have liked to see stay around?
Yeah, I had completely forgotten that, the rating of the film. I knew it was going to be like bloody and pretty extreme, but like yeah, it's just like it caught me off guard, and especially I think when Savant's running away and his head explodes, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I had completely mismanaged my expectations coming into this, but in a good way. Like it was pleasant to see it getting that violent. No, I was really sad about Boomerang. I really, I thought he was a good character, and the fact that there was a nice little bit of kind of continuity when like Harley and him had talked, and that you can tell that the way that they talk, it's like they have history, so it's kind of just felt like a little subtle nod to David's Suicide Squad, so I kind of like that. And then when she's like screaming out when he dies, it's like, okay, yeah, you can see the history there. It's not like James is making this film and just going like, fuck you, David, I hate your movie. I'm not going to acknowledge it at all. I really thought he'd last a little bit longer in the film, but in terms of the rest of the characters, I kind of thought Savant would be in there a little bit longer. I think I kind of like Mandela affected myself, because I could have sworn in the trailers there was a bit where I saw Harley and him later in the movie, and I was like, I could have sworn I saw that in the trailer, and then his head fucking exploded, and I was like, okay, maybe I didn't, so I might have been a little bit wrong on that front. Yeah, no, I really like the opening sequence. I thought it was really good, and then you get your first kind of, um, you know, built into the scene title card where it says like a James Gunn film or whatever. It says in his blood, and how that progresses. But yeah, no, I thought it was really good. I liked it.
I liked that, obviously, because Captain Boomerang is a fan favorite, and in the comics he's like a huge recurring character, and he's a absolute fan favorite in the John Ostrander run and the New 52, and then for James Gunn to literally kill him off is kind of funny, because I love the character, and I would love to see a prequel of some kind to see more of that relationship between Harley and all that. But I think it's funny for James Gunn to do that, because it's so unexpected, and also well, kind of, if you've seen the trailers you kind of guessed, but for like diehard Digger Harkness fans, it's kind of like, what the hell? It's so beloved. But I think it's good because it raises the stakes, and you after that point you truly don't know what's going to happen, who's going to die, and I think that it starts the film on a really great note, because the stakes are so high, and you don't really, anything could happen. So and that's really rare. That's so rare for films that you really don't know what's going to happen. So yeah. I have a love-hate relationship, because I love the character and I love obviously Rick Flag, but I think it's called Suicide Squad, and I think when you think about it, it's kind of ridiculous to have recurring characters in a film series called, a series called Suicide Squad. They're supposed to die, so I liked it. Yeah,
and like, you don't know who's going to die next. It could be anybody. And
exactly.
Yeah, definitely, you're on the edge, because I felt myself during the movie. I got very attached to John Cena's Peacemaker, and I got attached to Ratcatcher, and I was like on the edge of my seat. Is he going to kill those off? They're not kill them off, and then you're like, oh, he could, because of what happened in the opening sequence.
Yeah.
But if there was a character I'd like to maybe see more of or stick around, would have been, I don't know, there was something about Savant. The film focuses on him from the start, and he's like, he watches everything. He's focused on everything, and he stays back while the fight's happening, and then he ultimately, I don't know if he's cowardly or he's really, really smart. He runs away from the what's happening. Lewis, did you find that character interesting? Why do you think that James Gunn focused on him right from the start and for that entire sequence nearly?
I think it is, as you guys were both saying, that it's to set the precedent that nobody's safe, and to go like, oh, this is the character that the film starts with. So
it's misleading.
Well. You think that their character's going to make it, or at least have a somewhat significant role, and then, when he starts to swim away, you're thinking, okay, maybe something's going to happen. You're going to get like the Ex Machina moment. Something comes in and saves him, and he doesn't get the chip blown up. And then no, he just dies, and it's like. It's the Slipknot of this movie of saying like, okay, we need a character to kill to let you know that we're not messing about, and to give him as violent a death as they do. I think that's all it is. I think it's just setting the tone for the movie and saying like, that I'm not fucking about. These people are gonna die horrible deaths.
Yeah, and also obviously the opening with Savant, it's with that bird. And I love it that people say, people are asking on Twitter, what does James Gunn have against birds?
A lot of them die horrible deaths.
Yeah, it's like, do they have beef or something? Like what?
Yeah, they have a Twitter beef, and then James Gunn he's trying to sort it out now. He's like, watch out, I kill you in my movies. But I think he tweeted that he loves birds, and he wanted to show that how bad these people are. It's a movie. Like, people are too. Exactly. I don't know. It's a movie. Come on. But we get to actually meet the real Suicide Squad then, which consists of Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher, Peacemaker, King Shark, and Bloodsport. And I thought the interaction between those group of characters was very interesting and good. Now, I will say that I miss David Ayer's aesthetic. I think he's a brilliant director. I just like that kind of, it's similar to Snyder in terms of the dark tone. And David Ayer's chemistry between his cast are always brilliant. Really, really good chemistry. I think the first Suicide Squad, the chemistry between that cast, that chemistry wasn't there. I think the movie would have been yeah, the movie would have been a train wreck even more, I think, if those people weren't so like close.
Exactly.
But this movie, the chemistry was good as well. I just don't think it was as good, but I'm only comparing that because it's
Well, that's because David Ayer, before they started shooting the movie, David Ayer literally got the whole cast in a room and they like talked about their whole life, and it was kind of like a therapy session, and they rebonded. And you can see that with them tattooing each other behind the scenes. It's a real bonding experience, and I think they had a lot of fun on this film, but I don't think it was kind of as, you know, they weren't as much of a squad as the first movie. But yeah,
that's true. And there's also a poll up on the channel there. If anyone wants to take part, did you like the Suicide Squad? And 80% are saying yes right now, and 20% are saying no. So, but Lewis, from the real Suicide Squad that we go on this journey with throughout the film of King Shark and those characters, is there a character that you really liked and really stood out to you?
Probably Bloodsport. I thought he was a badass. I knew nothing about any of these characters from this from that Suicide Squad going forward. So I was just kind of like, okay, I'm not really gonna look into it. I'm just gonna let the film do its thing, and then I'll see what I think of these characters. But yeah, I thought Bloodsport was pretty badass, and thought Idris gave a really great performance. And like, it was like one of those weird things because it's like halfway through the film, I was looking, I'm just going, holy shit, this is Idris Elba in this movie. For some reason, it wasn't that I didn't know it was Idris Elba, but it was just kind of going like, I've seen him in so many different things. It just seems quite weird for him to pop up here, which I guess is a good thing because I was focusing on his performance and the character rather than the actor. But yeah, no, I thought he was great. I'd say Bloodsport is easily like a favorite from the movie.
Yeah, and Idris Elba for me has great screen presence. He's brilliant. He just hasn't found that huge film that he can make a franchise out of. I don't know if he'll show up in Hobbs and Shaw. I forget if he died in Hobbs and Shaw or not. I can't remember. But he was in that movie. But of course, the big names there are The Rock and Jason Statham, and the Fast franchise. And then here for the Suicide Squad, I really hope he can play this character again because I thought he was really, really good. And I love his character arc from the start of the movie right to the end, where he becomes a leader and he takes on Starro. And the scene with the score of his gun kind of transforming into a bigger gun was really cool. I really, really liked that.
Yeah.
And Bloodsport was very good. Jessica, do you have a favorite character from Suicide Squad?
Yeah, definitely Bloodsport is one of them. I hope we get a Bloodsport solo series or movie. Ratcatcher 2 obviously is the heart of the movie. I hope we get more of her. I mean, I hope that Bloodsport and Deadshot meet and like team up or fight or whatever. I'd love it if like we got like Deadshot and them both going up against like Deathstroke or something. I think those three in a movie would just be epic. But yeah, hopefully we get more Ratcatcher 2 because I love Cleo. She's like, Rat save the day. She's like, heart of the film. And obviously King Shark. I mean, gotta love Nanawe. He's like so lovable. But yeah. A poor polka dot man, he bit it in the end.
Yeah, he met his demise. That's the thing. Like, they all had really good character arcs, and you really felt for them. And King Shark, you got to see him kind of. He realized that you don't eat your friends, or you got to see the couple kind of kissing. He wanted to play with the fish. He just wants friends. He wants love. He wants a family, and he doesn't have that. And that, without James Gunn showing us a backstory of where he came from, I think he did it really well by conveying that in the scenes, the little small things like that. I really appreciated that. And it's, you don't need 40 or 50 minutes to set up a character. Just little things like that can really do it. But what was the comedy like for you, Lewis? Like a lot of comedic moments, and did it stand up for you, or did you think they could have been left out? Or?
Yeah, no, I didn't have any problems with it. No, I thought it was. I thought some of the stuff was. It felt like. I don't know. I don't know if like some of the jokes were maybe like trying a bit too hard, but like for the most part, I thought it was pretty funny.
I think some of the jokes were improvs. I think that that dick joke that carries on. I think that was John Cena improving on set. I'm pretty sure. So I think that, and obviously they just kept it in. But the really funny jokes still land even after watching the film, and even the ones that don't land, they make me smile. I mean, I just, even though they're not like funny, and especially after watching it like over again, it's like that they still make me smile. It's not that they don't land and they're like awkward or anything. That the whole film just has that kind of fun, you know. So I really like the humor in the film, and the ones that really do land still make me laugh, which is good. So
yeah, I'd say my favorite joke would be the bit when Bloodsport and Peacemaker are kind of having a tit for tat, and then he's like, nobody likes to show off. It's like, and this one they're showing off is cool as fuck, and he just kind of turns around like, I can't come back to
that. Yeah, he's right.
And I love obviously, I think one of my favorites is Tighty Whities. I just cry.
That's racist.
Yeah.
that was I did laugh. That was very funny.
Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah.
We are Venom here. We have Sean Franklin. Good to have you here, guys. But the main kind of plot for the movie is the Suicide Squad have to go to Corto Maltese to stop the government there from using Starro for their own benefit. That would be bad for America, China, Russia, all that kind of stuff. But Starro is this big alien beast that can shoot out little small starfish that can overtake people and use them as slaves. But they're sent in there to kind of stop that, shut all that down, and then kind of Harley's captured at the opening sequence of the movie, and she's brought in by the president of Corto Maltese. And now I will say that whole 10 minutes I didn't really like. I liked the ending of it when she kind of turned on him and shot him and stuff like that. But I just didn't know if it was a dream sequence. I didn't know if it was real. I didn't know exactly what was going on. It felt out of place to me. And I think it would have been better maybe cutting out most of that and just having her being captured and tortured. And then the team comes for her, or she escapes and has that badass moment. But I just didn't really like it. Lewis, did you find out as well? I just felt like a bit bored in those 10 minutes.
I mean, I very much like Margot's Harley Quinn, and the more screen time that she gets, I think the better, because that's just like one of those ones where character matches the role, or actor matches the role perfectly. Yeah, I thought it was a bit. I didn't really see anything wrong with it necessarily until I looked on social media afterwards and kind of saw people making points about her being like a captor and and all that, and I was like,
but then again, she's got history of like Stockholm syndrome with the Joker, and like it's kind of it perfectly kind of fits the character because she is problematic. She's she has these tendencies to kind of maybe go to the wrong kind of people, and then the whole point of that scene is to then say that she's kind of now developed so far to the point where she's autonomous, and she can say, I know when I'm in a bad situation, and I'm also my own person. The guy requested to it wasn't like a cat. I mean, she was a captive, but he was like, it's
I think I'd have to watch it again to decide, like, to see how problematic it was, because for some reason it just didn't occur to me. But having seen people talk about it afterwards, I was like, okay, maybe they have a point. But I can't quite remember everything.
I didn't really feel that at all. I just got bored because I just thought it was uninteresting. I just didn't like the scene. I didn't like the scene because I thought, he's taking advantage of her, right? I think two of them, they fell for each other. They thought the two of them were both attractive.
Yeah, that's how I perceived it. It seemed like a mutual thing. Again, I need to see it again before I can decide.
It's kind of Harley's idea of a one night stand type thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I did like the reference towards Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad, and like their toxic relationships and stuff like that. I did appreciate that, but then I think it was made up. I think the awesome scene where she escaped, that scene was just brilliant. I thought
that was awesome.
She's able to escape, and she comes out with the guns, and she shoots the guys at the table, and she just takes them all on. And then instead of real blood, very much like Birds of Prey, it was confetti instead of blood. This one, it's flowers. I thought it was cool, and she escapes, and then she meets the squad outside who were trying to, break her out. I thought that was pretty good, and I think it was one of the best action sequences for Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite by far, and I still love the police raid and that whole sequence, but in Birds of Prey, but this just like it is by far my favorite, and the choreography and I just love the way that it was captured, that her mind kind of like, her crazy mind just like imagines this kind of beautiful, kind of flowery kind of, and she's like slicing people up,
Yeah,
so it's good fun.
it was awesome. It was awesome. Lewis, did you appreciate that, or do you think the Birds of Prey one was a little bit better?
That's tough because the Birds of Prey one was really good as well, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like especially when she gets like the fucking steel bat or whatever, and she's just like caving
Oh
people's
yeah,
heads in. You're like,
yeah,
holy
and
crap,
like
this is brutal.
smashes his leg, and like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
part is like, yeah.
It's like,
And when she's like throws the bat and it goes in his face,
yeah.
it's so much fun.
So yeah, no, it's tough. I think they're both really, really good. There are a couple of moments during the fight scene where it's like that kind of typical fight scene problems everything has, like, oh, these guys have like assault rifles and they're running at her, like just stand 10 feet away and shoot,
Yeah, and also like the javelin has no blood on it at the end.
Yeah,
that's one thing.
yeah.
I was like, there's no blood. It should be covered in blood.
These are like nitpicks to an otherwise
Exactly,
cool thing, and
yeah.
I like the idea that she kind of, that she's not seeing blood, she's seeing butterflies and confetti
and birds, Tweety birds, and like flowers, and
So I thought both were good.
Yeah, it was a badass Harley scene, definitely. I think James Gunn did a really good job with the character, even though I think the opening sequence is really good with her, and then like when she escapes onwards is really good as well. So yeah, but then the Suicide Squad have to go to this bar and get the Tinker so they can get into Jotunheim and use his kind of credentials, because he has been experimenting on Starro for the last 30 years. But the bus sequence where Ratcatcher kind of gives her origin story, I liked it because it wasn't like a flashback. It was actually a scene that was happening right now, and the flashback was also part of the scene in the reflection of the kind of the outside the window of the bus. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bloodsport is there, and he feels that he understands. He kind of connects with Ratcatcher, and also John Cena in the back. His character Peacemaker is kind of giving that look, like, oh yeah, I can relate to that as well. And then King Shark at the back looking at people in love. It's a really powerful sequence, I thought, and I thought it was very emotional, and I felt for the characters, and it made me. I think Ratcatcher is definitely the heart of the movie, but I think she's the most mature of the Suicide Squad. I think she's gone through maybe even the most tragic things. Maybe
she's the only one that's kind of normal. All the others are like terrible people. Like Peacemaker's a terrible person, like killing children. Like they're villains, like they're bad guys. But like Cleo Ratcatcher 2 is literally just someone who used her rats to rob a bank. She's not like, she's kind of like a normal person who kind of did use this technology with these rats and accidentally got herself locked up, and she's in prison with these like murderous people. So it's
it was good. And I think like she has overcome her trauma. She's overcome, like, she's not fully over it, but she has her father there in her memory. I don't think Peacemaker or Bloodsport have gotten over those kind of mental scars, and that's what I think makes Ratcatcher more mature than those other characters. But Lewis, that whole sequence, like, how did it make you feel, and did it make you connect with? Did it make you feel for the characters more than you did before that scene? And if that scene didn't exist, do we actually care about them going into the third act?
Yeah, no, I probably not. I think it's one of those things that you kind of need in the movie, I guess, and it's like, we need to get a bit more backstory, and I think it's the moment when Bloodsport kind of starts turning the corner and being like, okay, yeah, I need to step up for these guys. But yeah, you get like little insights into everyone, because he starts crying. You get Ratcatcher's backstory, as you said. You got King Shark just looking at people, and you do learn a lot about these characters in a very short period of time. And as you guys were talking about, it's very well done with like the transition in the window. It's really, really good, really good. So yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
And it really bonds the two characters together, and you really do care and want for them to survive. They are going to make it. They really are like the heart of that relationship, is like the heart of the film. It's beautiful. And Daniela Melchior's acting in that scene and the whole film is brilliant. She really is a breakout star, and I really hope to see more of her. as a character.
Yeah, she's definitely a character that I think is too good to not use again going forward for
Yeah,
DC in some capacity. They definitely have to use her. But yeah, definitely feel for those characters. It was a great sequence. Like the trip to Jotunheim where they have to go there and they're all together. Like that sequence in the rain, I thought was really really well done. I love the music choice with it and all that. And I think it was one of my it's up there with the Peacemaker scene and Rick Flag. That's one of my favorite scenes from the movie. You guys have a
yeah.
favorite sequence in the movie for you that really made you feel like, oh, I love this movie?
Well, just to go back, I love the nightclub sequence. Like, I just love seeing them like dancing and having a good time. I think that's just, you underestimate seeing characters have a good time, and I just, yeah, I love that scene. And obviously, that's really when Peter Capaldi comes into the film, really as the Thinker, and his performance later on at Jotunheim is so good. Yeah, I mean, especially once the nightclub sequence, we get to the nightclub sequence, the film, and into the third act, the film just kind of really takes off then. And yeah, I think that from then on, it's just, for me, it just gets even better. And yeah, I love that sequence, the whole from then on and to the end, I just adore. Yeah.
Luce?
It's probably tied between Harley's escape. I thought was pretty good. Yeah, the nightclub scene. I did really enjoy that. Kind of grounded everyone a little bit more just to see them drinking and having fun. And then yeah, probably the fight in the reflection of Peacemaker's helmet. Probably my top three.
Yeah, I love that one as well. I suppose we should get into that then because they get into Jotunheim and they have the Thinker with them, Rick Flag and Ratcatcher. They kind of go to like I don't know, maybe it's the lowest level of that place or whatever, but that's where Starro is being kept, and they get to see all the experiments that is going on to the Corto Maltese people, the women, the men, the children, and it was so freaky when they first entered the place, and then the starfishes are attached to the human beings' faces, but the Starro is talking through them, and they're like, "Are you here to save me?" That was just really creepy. I was like, "What is this thing?" And it's revealed then that the Tinker kind of says that you're working for the enemy here. The American government is the one who issued these experiments for the last 30 years. I've been doing this under the guidance of the American government or whatever it is. And it's basically Rick Flag realizing that his country is not innocent in any of this. And he's had enough of it. And he wants to say, I'm not going to be a puppet anymore. I can't stand by this. They're experimenting on children. I thought that Joel Kinnaman's acting in that scene was fantastic, really, really good. And even Ratcatcher 2 was like mortified of all of this. And then Peacemaker walks down. He's like, what's good? Peacemaker walks in. They're like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to put the explosives everywhere. And then it's revealed. And then Rick Flag has the card or the files, and he's going to expose the American government and America. And Peacemaker's like, I can't let you do that. Like, that was just really powerful for me. And it actually reminded me of like the ending of Watchmen. Like when Dr. Manhattan and Rorschach are like, like Rorschach's like, I can't stand by this. I'm going to have to expose this. And Dr. Manhattan's like, I really can't let you do that. And he ends up killing him. It just reminded me of that kind of Zack Snyder's Watchmen and how that happened, that sequence. But Lewis, for you, was that like the what the F moment for you of the movie? You're like, oh wow, really, that's a twist, and Peacemaker will do anything for peace. Like, what did you make of that sequence?
Yeah, well, I mean, it made sense, and I was like, okay, I can see where this is going. We're gonna have a good fight between the two. Did I expect Flag to die? No, not at all. I really did not think he was going to die. And that was the one that like hit me the most. I think that was the me too. What? They're actually gonna kill him off. And I don't know. For me, it's had the maybe intentional, maybe unintentional consequence of like me kind of not really looking forward to the Peacemaker show now. Previously, I was like, okay, from the trailers, he seems like a cool character. Now I'm like, why would I want to root for you now? You just killed essentially the
that's kind of the point. You kind of love to hate him. It's like
but I just hate him. It's at that point where I'm just kind of like, damn, that was kind of scummy. Maybe there'll be some kind of you know.
The other characters will probably root for, but it's like,
Yeah, I don't. Maybe there's the whole,
it's very intentional that you hate him by the end.
Yeah, well, his,
Because Rick
Flag's
Flag
last
was,
line saying like Peacemaker, what a joke. Maybe that's
Yeah.
going to be
Love
some
it.
kind of
well, that's funny
transformation for
'cause
Peacemaker to start being like,
obviously
whoa, I got to calm down.
it's funny when you bring in Watchmen, because obviously the comedian in Watchmen is based off Peacemaker.
Yeah, someone told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Alan Moore originally wanted to use like the Charlton characters. He wanted to use Peacemaker, and he wanted to use, I think, Blue Beetle as well. But like Night Owl, Blue Beetle became Night Owl, and Peacemaker became the comedian. And so there's like the references to peace, and it's obviously James Gunn knows his stuff, and so the references of Peacemaker in the film are really kind of like mirror images of Watchmen. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, that was awesome because it did remind me of the comedian kind of element to it as well. And like I posted this on Twitter, I think someone else did it as well. It's like it's Peacemaker, but he's not comedian yet, but he will be when he realizes that it's all a joke, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Lewis, I don't know if you heard that, but I was saying that Peacemaker is like comedian. But he's not. He doesn't realize that it's all a joke yet. I think the transformation will be to that moment where he realizes, oh, this is all a joke. Why am I signing up for these people when they're hypocrites and what they do and stuff like that? I think that's the transformation that could go on, and maybe that's where you'll turn around for the character, because when Rick Flag says Peacemaker, what a joke, I thought that was a perfect dialogue right there. And John Cena's acting, John Cena's acting really, really good there. And then he looks up and
best role. Yeah.
I think so. I really enjoyed it. I love John Cena because WWE, I watched him when I was younger and stuff like that. So I'm a big John Cena fan. So I watch all of his movies. This one I really enjoyed him in it. But then we get to see kind of Rick Flag's heart being like punctured or stabbed from inside. That's an interesting camera choice to use.
Yeah.
But my gathering of it was that his heart was too pure, maybe, or he led with his heart instead of his brain, maybe. Is that what Lewis? Do you think that's a good parallel or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense. I think another take would just be like he gets stabbed and then collapses, and you're like, oh, but he's not dead. So you have that shot of like, no, this went straight through his eye. He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
He's not coming back. That's how I saw it. But yeah, no, it could easily be symbolic of him, wanting to act in good conscience and saying like, well, screw this country, the world needs to see this, and then Peacemaker's the one to puncture that. So, but regardless, it was such a sucker punch of a moment, fucking hell, man.
And the dialogue, it hurt Peacemaker. Peacemaker, what a joke. Yeah, hurt him. It really stood him.
Yeah.
But then Ratcatcher sees everything, and John Cena's character sees that, and she has the files now, and he has to stop her. And Casey reminded me it's Corto Maltesians. Yes, sorry, Casey. Myself and Harley were always getting mixed up. The Corto Maltesians. And then he has to chase down Ratcatcher, and he's about to kill her. And she's like, okay, just destroy the files. You don't have to kill me. But then Peacemaker goes, I'm thorough. Interesting piece of dialogue from Peacemaker there. Yeah. And I don't know if he would have killed her, probably, but we'll never know what he would have did in the situation, because then like Bloodsport kind of falls through the building and falls directly in front of him. And like 8 minutes ago, we get to see what happened 8 minutes previously. And I timed it when I was in cinema the second time around. I wanted to see, was it really 8 minutes? And it was 8 minutes. So that's pretty cool, James Gunn there. But the smaller bullets thing is brought back to us. And were you expecting more of a fight, Lewis? Or did you think it was perfectly done? The two of them just staring at each other and they shoot at the same time?
Yeah, no, as soon as they're kind of looking at each other, you just know it's kind of like a good old-fashioned standoff. And then kind of as soon as they fire, the first thing that came into my head was like, oh, well, he's got the smaller bullet, so Bloodsport's is going to win. But then, as soon as the impact happens, you're like, okay, so the TV show is going to be a prequel. And then you obviously get post-credits, and you're like, okay, I mean, how is he not fucking dead? But all right. Yeah, no, I thought it was cool. I thought it was really badass, and given that Bloodsport is such a cool character for the whole thing, the fact that he gets that moment of retribution for Flag to just nail Peacemaker with the one shot, I thought was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the Peacemaker show after that scene. even more, because I want to see this character deconstructed, because that look after Rick Flag says, "What a joke." I felt it. I really did, and I want to see what John Cena can do now in this limited series. I think it's only 8 episodes, and what James Gunn can do as well. Of course, it's going to be a smaller budget show. Peacemaker is not a superhero, so he's a grounded hero. So he's combat, hand-to-hand fighting and stuff like that. Robert Patrick, T-1000 from Terminator 2, will be his father, who actually made a guest appearance in The Walking Dead at the end of last season, which was awesome for one episode. I was happy with that. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes. And we got to see he survived at the end, the post-credit scene, which they kept us around for a long time at the post-credit scene in the cinema. I was like, waiting, come on, just show us. Why is that at the end?
Well, it was long, but I do like. I mean, the soundtrack's so good. I just like sitting there listening to it, especially Ratism. Like that's such a great track.
Great music and great score, and I've been listening to it ever since. But then we go into the big third act. We're not even talking about the third act yet, and there was so much in this movie, so much action. And you're like, into the third act, you're like, wow, there's more to go. And the big fight, Starro obviously escapes, and people giving out that maybe that the third act wasn't long enough, and Starro maybe should have been more equipped, did more in that final battle. But I thought it was freaky and it was weird, and I think the big moment in that third act was the Suicide Squad, going against Amanda Waller and saying, "No, the right thing."
That gives me chills every time I watch it. It's so cool. People are kind of criticizing Amanda Waller, not kind of killing the people that kind of, obviously Amelia Harcourt and John Economos. They literally whacked her across the head, and people think that she would literally just kill them. But I think the events of Peacemaker, she literally sends them off to deal with Peacemaker, and so that's kind of her revenge. So I think it works. But yeah, because obviously in the first film she literally just shoots her whole team in, and just gets rid of them. So I don't know.
Here she probably can't, because this is under this is I don't know why she didn't. Maybe because these are actually working under her.
Well, I mean, because obviously John Economos is like a recurring character in the comics, and obviously Amelia Harcourt is James Gunn's girlfriend. So it's
never going to kill her off.
She needs them really to deal with Peacemaker, so it works out. Because obviously in the first film, the people that she shoots are just have no relevance to the plot or whatever. So it works.
What I like in this movie is what they are villains. Like that scene where they massacre all the kind of rebellion that's going against the government. Like they just do that, and then they find out, they were actually good people. But they're villains in the movie. But Lewis, was it justified enough for you as a viewer watching it for their U-turn, for them now to be kind of good and wanting to stop Starro? Was there enough of them being baddies and character development and arc for them to be justified into, we're going to stop Starro now, we're actually going to do the right thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's only really, I guess, Bloodsport and... It's only Bloodsport and Ratcatcher that really make the decision. King Shark just kind of goes wherever, Polka Dot Man just kind of goes wherever, Harley goes wherever. She was just like, yeah, okay, let's do this. I don't mind dying. She really wouldn't give a shit if they just fucking blew her head open at that point. So it's okay, so if the decision really comes down to a couple of characters, is it justified for Bloodsport? Is it justified for I think I think he he's at that point where he's just like, fuck it, I just kind of have to do this. I can't leave. Especially just seeing what's happened to all of these people who are being taken over by Starro. The fact that this whole island is going to get lost to him. It's like, yeah, okay. And also, again, if you don't have that and the movie just kind of ends, it would be kind of weird. But
yeah,
it could have made sense if they were just like, fuck it, I can't be asked to deal with this giant starfish.
Imagine if Starro killed them in one go, and next minute the Justice League has to come in and stop Starro. That would have been a weird ending. But he kills all the Suicide Squad, but the Justice League have to come in and clean everything up. That would have actually been pretty cool. Actually,
especially because in the end of the last film, the antagonistic relationship between Waller and Bruce Wayne. It'd be funny to Waller's team failed, and so the Justice League Bruce's team have to come and sort it out. That could be. Yeah. It could be fun.
could have been won over on the man in the water. Yeah, that would have been nice
yeah.
dialogue. But yeah, but they take on Starro, and like, but if they didn't turn around and fight Starro, like Starro could have got even bigger and then take over the world. Like then Bloodsport's daughter would have been dead. So he kind of had no choice not to turn around, and to actually fight against this thing. Like he either dies, okay, or Starro gets bigger and kills everybody on Earth. Like so, including his daughter. So yeah, I think that was interesting. But the fight sequence with Starro was okay. It wasn't anything unbelievable or anything, but I thought it was good. I liked it. I liked it enough, and I thought Ratcatcher's scene with all the rats was cool. Harley going through with the javelin through the eye was awesome. Score as well was pretty cool. Polka Dot Man finally becoming himself, finally becoming a superhero, and then him dying was pretty tragic as well. Lewis, what was a standout for you in that kind of whole action sequence of the third act?
I was a big fan of Bloodsport's whole, weapon assembly moment. I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, I think it's kind of as you said. I think the whole final act was just kind of like final fight was. It felt more functional than it did like a cool, awesome final fight. Purely probably because of the fact that Starro wasn't in it for very long. But the whole point of that final bit is these characters having some kind of redemption, having some kind of final act where they do something great for humanity. It's not really, look at this insane villain or whatever. But yeah, no, I thought it was cool. The weapon assembly bit was probably my favorite. Yeah, the I'm a superhero and then immediately dying was pretty funny. And I'm just trying to think. Yeah, when Harley is inside Starro at that point and all the rats start coming in, it's like, it's really cool. I really like that.
Yeah, some interesting shots from James Gunn as well in that sequence. So I like how he wanted to be. It's a very different from any other like DC movie that's shot, and even from his Marvel movies. Like I think he experimented a lot more here because maybe he had the freedom. Like we wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see those director choices like in the Marvel too much because like they have a formula. They do their thing. Like I don't think Kevin Feige would like maybe let a director bring in those kind of new tricks and stuff like that, just in case the audiences aren't sure, like, what am I watching here and stuff. But I actually liked it. That was cool. Jessica, was there a standout? You?
I think they're changing that with like Eternals being different.
Maybe, yeah.
I think in the future it's going to be different, but
yeah.
I mean, he was given freedom to be way more practical and not so reliant on CGI and
the suits, especially the suits were very they were real suits instead of some of the CGI ones that we see at Marvel. So actually, I like that as well. But is there like anything out of that third act that with Starro that stand out for you or you really liked?
Well, I love the weapon assembly as well, and obviously the flashback with Cleo's father. That I think that's really touching. I have to say, I saw on Twitter someone said it was more powerful than the "I'm not broken and I'm not alone," which I have to say, I love the scene, but I'm sorry, that scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League is like the creme de la creme of like, just putting it out there. It's good, but it's really good, but it's not like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, but anyway, got to point that out. But yeah, and then I really liked what was after that. Obviously the rats saved the day, which I like because I've always never got the rat hate because I know that like obviously like rats on streets and stuff are like dirty, but like there are pet rats that are clean and nice and they're good pets.
Well, it didn't make me want to buy a rat after watching the movie. Definitely not.
It's like James Gunn's like, they're not bad, they're cute. More people will be like, I bet people after the movie will be going to looking up how pet rats.
But I think the highest point of the movie was kind of just that mid act with Peacemaker and all that kind of stuff, and the ghosts of Jotunheim, and taking on the soldiers. And the third act for me, I still liked it. It was good and stuff. It just wasn't unbelievable. It wasn't just an unbelievable style, but it was cool. I think the Suicide Squad is a cool movie. It really is. I enjoyed it. Rewatch value, I think, is very good so far. I've seen it twice now. I'll watch it again. Characters I really liked. I thought it was a really good time, and that's more. I think it's more in line with maybe Zack Snyder's movies, I think, than maybe some of the other ones that come out in DCU for me. But I had a good time. I can't deny that. I think James Gunn did a good job.
Well, yeah, it fit more with Zack's vision than like some of the films that like Jeff Johns had a big input in, like Wonder Woman 84. I think you can see that obviously because it wasn't all, because like Shazam and Wonder Woman 84, they're very, very the opposite of Zack's vision, and this had like dramatic, epic moments that kind of fit more with it, even though it's James Gunn's vision. It felt connected more in that vein. So yeah, I think you're on something there. But yeah.
And Lewis, do you have any wrap up with the movie, or what's your kind of quick summary of that? And will you watch it again? And do you think people are being too hateful towards it, maybe online?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And this is the thing. Like, obviously, we joked at the start that I've been off the radar for ages, but like when I have been on Twitter since the movie came back, which hasn't been a lot because it's been very nice to not be on Twitter. But when I have been on it, people have just been, a bit too extreme about the whole thing. It's, it doesn't, at no one point if you are a diehard Snyder fan, that at no point in this film is there a giant middle finger towards Zack or any of his movies.
No.
This film can perfectly coexist with them, and I don't see how it wouldn't. You could still very easily see that Harley could go from here to then at some point in the future dying, and then Batman having that scene, and then he talks to Joker in the Nightmare. Like, it can all still happen in that continuity. And I think people are just losing their minds over. I mean, it's understandable to an extent when you know what happened with David's cut, but like David and James tweet each other all the time, praising each other, and saying nice things. As we saw, David was in the credits as a special thanks from James Gunn. Like, at no one point did this. I mean, I do kind of have a gripe with the fact that this wasn't just called Suicide Squad 2 and not, but obviously there's some, it's the studio saying, we like the name The Suicide Squad because it might differentiate it. We don't want Suicide Squad 2 to be negatively
it was sort of a soft
name.
reboot, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like when you watch it, you're like, this could have just been a sequel.
I mean, it's like the mix of a soft reboot and a sequel.
Yeah. So in my head, this is just Suicide Squad 2. But the whole discourse online's been way too overdramatic, and it's like, if you don't want to see the movie, that's it. Don't see it.
Yeah.
You don't need to talk about it all the goddamn time. And if you did really like it, you don't need to use that as a way to just dunk on David's film. Like, whether that was what David wanted to make or not, whether that's a studio film or not, it doesn't make sense to just go, this film was so great because the other one was trash. Like, just watch the movie and have your own opinion that doesn't involve dunking on other people. You know? That's just me. Maybe I'm.
Well, I've recently I saw on the timeline just recently that because I thought I was pretty tuned into how many reshoots that actually happened in obviously Studio Squad, but there was I was kind of I was thinking it could be a reshoot, but that whole scene with like Floyd, like Deadshot shooting with like with Amanda Waller and like putting the gun to his head and all that, and like the browser history joke, all of that is a reshoot. Which I had, because some things obviously it was really sneaky what they did. Some scenes we know, and it's pretty obvious they're a reshoot, but the David's version, Amanda Waller's in pink, and then in like the Jeff Johns rewrite, she's not. So it's obviously that browser history joke was obviously just to lighten it up and add more humor. So I was surprised that was a reshoot, even for somebody who's looked at it and like tried to find all the like like puzzle pieces to find all the reshoots. So yeah, so it was messed with. It really is not David's film whatsoever.
As you say, there are some more like subtler moments where it got messed with, like the saying
Yeah.
that Harley Quinn was an accomplice to Joker's murder.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like,
That
what?
completely ruins the whole timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like subtle things like that to then just completely reshooting scenes. We've got like scenes from the original trailer that just didn't even make it at all, and you're just like, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, to use that as like ammunition to just say, oh, because David didn't get his, you know, screw this film. I hate this. I hate the
and
new
vice
Suicide
versa.
Squad. Yeah. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. If you really aren't happy with what happened to the first one, just don't watch the second one. You know, still obviously, you know, you want David's cut to come out, but like you don't need to use it to just shit on another
and
piece of work.
if you don't like something, why would you want to talk about it all the time?
Yeah, it's just, you know,
it's kind of it's
weird.
Funny
how online, if you talk about something that you really like a lot, you're doing it for clout.
Mm-hmm.
But if you talk about something that you really hate a lot, it's not for clout. Makes no sense. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's those people. We enjoyed the Suicide Squad, we really did, and hopefully the Jericho gets released as well. And there's a lot of problems with the Suicide Squad movie in terms of the box office right now, but maybe the HBO Max sales are pretty high, or the viewership there is pretty high, subscriptions. But then there's a pandemic on as well. There's a new variant of this COVID as well. I'm not someone I don't like, the box office doesn't mean that much to me as a viewer. I just want to watch a movie and enjoy it. You know what I mean? I don't really care that much. It's cool to see a movie I like do well, but we're in a pandemic now, so what does box office matter to any of these stuff? Because you know, like Jungle Cruise in a real environment would have made a lot more money, or Black Widow, or even Godzilla v Kong. Fast and Furious made over 650 million, I think, at the worldwide box office. That would have been $1 billion film, maybe even 2 billion if it was a normal climate. But it's just the world we're living in right now. When this is an R-rated, I think it's the biggest opening for a pandemic R-rated movie, which is a big feat in its own self. It has brand new characters never been brought to screen before. We have actors who had never been in a massive franchise before, who don't carry like a name of a Will Smith or a Jared Leto or Ben Affleck, which I think is a big loss to this movie. But like, I think this movie was critically and it's received well enough by fans, and the box office for me is irrelevant in the pandemic. That's just me. Do you think so as well, guys?
Well, I mean,
pandemic. Well, the box office is still, you know, the pandemic really has still affected. You know, I think it would have done so much better if the pandemic was not a thing at all, especially now with this Delta variant. It's really, you know, it is still a thing. I mean, it's not as much as it was like a few months ago, but it's still, you know, I think, you know, it's still very much a factor. So I think it's all very complicated. So we'll see what happens, I guess, because we're getting Peacemaker, and I think hopefully we get the Ayer cut announced. You know, hopefully DC fandom, like hopefully. So I think we'll just see what happens. I mean, I hope we get a, you know, because I love the franchise, and I hope we get more, just like more great Suicide Squad movies. And I just hope, you know, we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wholly agree that, I mean, it sucks that the box office is the kind of king determinant of whether or not a movie gets a sequel. Like, Venom had like a kind of decent reception, but because it made a shitload of money, it's like, okay, definitely doing a sequel. Like, I'm not complaining about that because I really enjoyed Venom, but like, it's another thing that I've seen, you know, doing the rounds on social media, is saying that, oh, the Suicide Squad is flopping, and it's like, again, as you guys just said, R-rated during a pandemic, and like, I know at a time, at least in England right now, you have like we've just had our final load of restrictions lifted, but there's, as you say, with Delta variant, you have people who are kind of saying, okay, well, it's kind of reactance. It's like, you say I can just go to a cinema now without a mask on, but I'm like, you know, I really don't want to. And it's like, you have a global pandemic going on, like, a film is not going to do fantastically well, you know, and it has done, you know, decently well, but like, people who use it, and the thing is, you're seeing people who say that online and they haven't even seen the movie and they're dunking on the numbers, and it's just like, You're just giving it
And
more
also,
publicity by talking about it. So
it'll be interesting to see if we do find out how well it's done on HBO Max as well. Because if it's done, if it's doing really well on HBO Max as well, that's also a factor, I think. And it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how well Peacemaker does as well, and because obviously they want a second season of Peacemaker, so it'll be, it's all really up in the air at the moment. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
I think Warner Brothers lost a lot of money this year with the box office and the HBO Max, but it's a pandemic, and I think they've been more concentrating on HBO Max, as well, putting those subscription numbers up, and of course they would like to make big box office money, but just the world they're in right now, if they had just had these movies in theaters and they kept originals for HBO Max, like the two could be failing. At least one is maybe doing pretty well for them HBO Max, and they're getting some money in return. So look, it's just the way things are. But that was our spoilers discussion for the Suicide Squad. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which we all really, really enjoyed, and we thought was good. Thank you very much for being with us. But where can we find you guys on the interwebs, Lewis? All the gods.
I'm. I think my Twitter is there.
Yeah.
It's a fucking shit show there more often than not. So, yeah.
Don't stay off Twitter. Don't use Twitter.
I mean, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, Jessica, where can we find you?
It's Jessica Blake at Jessica Blake 98 on Twitter. Twitter. It's a fine art to navigate Twitter, I have to say.
I mean, I kind of knew
you do a good job.
I think I kind of knew things would be a shit show coming into this film, because I was just like, that Twitter sphere is like, it's half people who are like, I'm just happy that a movie's coming out, and the other half are like, fervently, fuck you, James Gunn, and it's like,
I always try to keep my Twitter positive whenever I like to just breeze past the negativity and just like stay positive. But my Instagram is Jessica Blake 37. So
the funniest thing, and thanks very much, Jessica, for coming on. Really appreciate it. And your positivity on Twitter is one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, because you're actually talking about the good things about the movie, and you're listening to the people who disagree and stuff, but you're being nice about it, and that's really important.
That's very hard to do.
But exactly. But there's a funny thing online. People are like, "Oh, fuck James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I like the 2016 one better, but I want the air cut."
Yeah,
it's weird. Like they're like, the Suicide Squad 2016 up like a few months ago, they were saying was Jeff Johns, it was shit, it was all this kind of stuff. We want the air cut. Now just because the Suicide Squad's out with James Gunn, they're pumping up 2016's version.
I mean, they are literally praising Jeff Johns when they say that. Like, just, I'm not going to get into that, but that's what they're doing. But whatever.
I like 2016's movie a lot. I really do. I'm show. I enjoy it. So
it's like it's a fun car crash. That's what I'll say. But I like it because, especially the extended cut, because you can. I enjoy it because you. I mean, I just like to ignore the bits that are like really bad, and just really zero in on the stuff that I know is David's, and the stuff that I know is purely David Ayer is fantastic. And so, hashtag release the air cut, very much so. Yeah,
exactly. And as always, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of them. I'm on everything.
He's
just
everywhere.
Movies don't matter. You can find. I'm everywhere. I can see you. I can see everything. I put out content on pretty much everything. So because I have nothing else to do in my life. I know I'm a sad person who just likes movies. But movies make me happy, so I'm not that sad. So jokes on you.
There you
go. But I want to thank Jessica and Lewis. And Lewis, we'll definitely have to bring the movie buffs back for more interviews. Movie buffs will return.
They will.
Like at the end of the Avenger movies, they have such and such will return. We definitely have to get that going.
Yes, we can just pretend that 50% of us died, and now we've gone back in time. The other half is back, so it's like, now we got to do something. But absolutely.
Yeah, we did have a cool interview lined up for the movie buffs months ago, but it didn't work out. So hopefully we'll try and get working on some more people and bring some interviews back, because they were fun and we got some really cool guests on before. So we'll definitely work on that. Yeah. So, but I want to thank everyone for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the streams. Comment below, no problem at all. And comment if you're watching the stream after. Comment and let me know your thoughts. But guys, Thanks for watching. Have a good night and enjoy.